Hello, peoples of the internet. So, my fan's on right now. You might be able to hear my fan in the background, and Evie's in the room. So, you may hear her snoring in the background, holding some sacred space for the animal beings. You can also see my plants behind me, holding our sacred space for the plant kingdom. So, today I thought I would talk about a darker subject, literally, which is the demon realm. And so different people talk about the demon realm and other people don't talk about the demon realm or don't believe in the demon realm. But in my teachings over the last couple of years, I've seen lots of examples of the demon realm. And so I first want to say that the Godsource told me that the demon realm is one of multiple realms of existing for the living beings. It's in one of the realms, and that the demons are beings that have fully disconnected from themselves, or possibly created in a disconnected state, and that our job as human beings is to not feed them. And so when you don't feed them, they can't exist. So because they aren't connected, they try to feed off of people who are connected. So off living beings that are connected to the God source. So the God source is what gives us infinite light. It's what our soul is made of. And that's why we want to tap our own love resources, because our love resources are infinite. There's no end to the love that you have inside of you for you. So you can access infinite amounts of love inside of you. It's an infinite resource. And so when you're connected, you can access that infinite resource for life force frequency. And when you're disconnected, then you actually have to feed off other people's light or life force. And so when we don't feed the demon realm, then the demon realm dies. And so you would think, okay, well, why would, that sounds mean, right? And in our reality, we're taught to actually feed the demon realm or disconnected humans. And we're in the slavery matrix. It's actually part of the functioning of the slavery matrix. So on one side, you have the narcissist, and on the other side, you have the empath. And the same family system will birth an empath or a narcissist or a family of personality disorders. And what happens in the family lineage is that when you can't handle the level of disconnect and pain and suffering with emotion as a child, because we were taught to be disconnected from our heads, our bodies and heads are disconnected. And so we didn't know how to love ourselves into wholeness, or to love ourselves in different difficult experiences or traumatic experiences. And the humans that couldn't take that become personality disorders. So they disconnect completely. Versus on the other side, you have the empath, whose job is to feel all the feelings and to take ownership of the feelings. And both are toxic. So a toxic empath takes on the ownership of the disconnected ones. And that's what we were taught to do in the slavery matrix. That's how it continues. That's its form of functioning. And so when we talk about the demon realm, or let's see, what's the easiest way to get into this? So a lot of us believe, the Godsource gave me a lesson once where it was talking about that a lot of us believe that on one side we have the angels and on the other side we have the demons. And the Godsource told me that is a lie. That is not true. That is a false truth that we're taught. And we're taught that because the demon realm wants us to believe that they're a natural part of this existence and this reality. And so we'll have things that are demonized in nature. So something like a mosquito or a tick or a spider or, things that are of the deathing nature, oftentimes even like crows and things like that, sometimes are connected to the darkness, to the disconnect, to like the demon realm, because they blood suck and things like that. And the Godsource said, that's not true. Those things in nature, so the mosquitoes and the ticks and the crows and all of these things that are sort of connected to the darkness are just natural parts of nature. Those are actually parts of nature. They're natural parts of the ecosystem, and they were part of the evolution and unfolding of existence. And the demon realm sort of attached to them so that we would think that they were part of nature, that they were actually just a natural part of nature. Oh yeah, they're natural here, right? And the Godsource was also showing me that like we celebrate the demon realm a lot, and that's things like scary movies where like literally where they have like demons in the movies, and we like watch it for entertainment. And even Halloween, we do a lot of sort of celebrations of the demon realm, and the Godsource said that's not good. We don't want to do that. That is, it's like celebrating them or accepting them as part of like the natural whole. And the Godsource says that they weren't. What it actually showed me is it showed me a release where it was talking about that when God started as a matrix. So it was just a matrix of cells that were all still. And at some point, the Godsource thought to itself, do I exist? And when it had that thought, do I exist? Who am I? That was the first thought of God. And when it did, it started movement. And when movement began, that's where the Godsource separated off a part of itself and created this universe. And when it separated off the part of itself that it separated off was the feminine part, the creator aspect. And that's what we call life. That's why she's a female. And it's our reality. It's our universe is feminine in nature, and that's what the Godsource separated off from itself so that it could watch itself, so that it could look at itself, so that it could gather the experiences of itself in fractals upon fractals upon fractals of itself. And when that occurred, so when the first separation occurred, just like in the birthing process, one cell became 2 cells, became 4 cells, became 8 cells. And when one cell became 2 cells, the Godsource said to itself, which cell do I choose? Which one do I choose first, right? And the Godsource is like, I don't know which one, right? And when it didn't know which one to choose, it got its first pain space. And its first pain space was not knowing which one to choose. So it was this state of, I guess, the unknown, or the state of not knowing, I guess, is what I'm going to say. And that was the first pain space of God. And the Godsource actually had to work through that pain space itself, and it had to get to the other side where it said, not one is better than the other. So one cell isn't better than the other cell, or one pathway isn't better than the other pathway, or one choice isn't better than the other choice, that they're all equal. So all cells are equal. All choices are equal. All pathways are equal. And it had to come around to that space. But in the beginning, it had that pain space. And when it had that first pain space, because up until that point, it hadn't felt the pain or suffering. But when it did, that's when the demon realm was created. So the demon realm was created at that point in time. And what the Godsource was showing me was that prior to that, so in first creation, the demon realm was in part of first creation. So it isn't actually natural to this existence. It was created with the Godsource's first wound. So the demon realm is literally the Godsource's wound space. And it's an illusion. It isn't actually real. It came later and it's not actually real. It's an illusion to heal. It's a pain space to heal. And when we heal it, it disappears because it's not actually a natural part of this existence. It was created within the existence, but it's not actually a natural part of this existence. Which the Godsource was also telling me that when we don't feed demons, they go into a space where they're about to die. And when they're about to die, sometimes they let go. They say, okay, I'm done this. I'm not doing this anymore. And if they do that, what happens is they implode into themselves, just like a dying star. And then when they implode into themselves, they explode outward and they create their own light. At that point, they become a light being and they go into a different realm of existing. And that's how they become a light being in this universe. So they have to actually be starved to the point of death, and then they implode and they become a light being, and they begin to create their own light at that point in time. So it's actually really important that we're not feeding them. And what you feed them is your pain, your suffering. So the slavery matrix is continuously feeding this dark realm. It's feeding the pain space of God. It's feeding the pain space of the humans, pain spaces of each other, and the pain spaces of God, because it's based off of separation consciousness. So separation consciousness is already unconscious existing, and unconscious existing or codependent existing, where you're waiting for the other person to change, or you're trying to control the other person for change, or you're feeding off the other person, is all parts of shadow. It's all parts of feeding the darkness. And so there's a lot of demon teachings in the slavery matrix. The vast majority of teachings in the slavery matrix are demon teachings, and the demons taught that so that they could get fed. And the Godsource told me that the very first demon teaching that the humans had received was around the time period of Atlantis, from what I can understand. And in that time period, the demons had said to the humans, we can teach you how to hone your energy, focus your energy, and blast it out of you toward accomplishing tasks. Because humans are actually not meant to do that. We have a certain amount of energy, and it's almost like this bar of energy that we can access, and it's like our natural amount of energy that we can access, and we're supposed to only utilize that amount of energy in our existing. But they said, you don't have to exist like this. We'll teach you how to hoard that energy and then focus and use it to get big projects done quickly. So this was like the time periods of the of Egyptians and things like that, when they started to build the massive monoliths, and they were hoarding and using demon teachings to be able to teach those things. Because the reason they're demon teachings is that when you hoard and use energy like that, The human body pays a price. Humans pay the price for that. So when you blast, when you hold, and blast, hold, and blast, and that's actually how we're still living. We're still living like that. So when you go to work and you blast that energy out all day, and then you get home and you're tired and you rest and you sleep, and then you go to work and you blast the energy again, and then you go home and you're tired and you can't take part in your daily existing. You can't enjoy your existence. You're not having a relationship with the plants and the animals and your loved ones because you're too tired, because you're blasting energy all day. Those are demon teachings, because you're the one that's paying the price for that. Your body is paying the price for that. And what you're doing is you're sacrificing. It's a sacrifice. You're sacrificing your own body for production. And that's what the slavery matrix is based off. Hence slaving, right? There's slavers and slaves, right? Nobody's happy. Nobody's living from truth or from freedom or from alignment. We're all living from disconnect, and that disconnect is the demon teachings, which means the wound spaces of God. So the wound spaces of God are trying to get stronger, be fed by our unconscious playing out of these programs and these patterns without knowing what we're actually doing. And in this time period, we're in a time period of awakening. We're waking up to the truth. And as we wake up to the truth, we're remembering we don't have to do it this way. There's another way to exist, and this ain't it. So that's actually what pain spaces are. So the pain spaces that the humans have inside of them are shadow spaces. Those shadow spaces are also the pain spaces of God. And the pain spaces of God as a collective is the demon realm. It's the dark realm. It's satanic and demonic. And satanic means it's a reversal. So satanic is the false light, which means it's a reversal. So it's mimicking freedom and consciousness and alignment. And the slavery matrix, if you go back and watch all my videos and what I've been clearing and highlighting and getting clarity around, is everything that I'm speaking of right now. It's a lot of it is Luciferian teachings, because they mimic the light. So when you think that the love of the other is what's feeding you, that's mimicking the light or the truth. And the truth is, you feed your own self. You have infinite light inside yourself that feeds yourself. You don't have to wait for that other person to love you to feel happy or healthy or whole or, the right to exist. You were born with that, but we forgot that. And so we're playing these toxic dynamic games with each other, and we're altering ourselves for the other's sake, or we're expecting other people to alter themselves for our sakes, because we forgot how to love ourselves into wholeness. We forgot how to comfort and love ourselves at the core. And when we remember how to love ourselves into wholeness, how to comfort ourselves, how to best friend ourselves, how to companion our own selves in this existence, we get free. And that's why they didn't want us to remember. Because when we get free, we don't buy into this shit anymore. And we begin to live from creativity, and we begin to create a new existence that's already a potential. It's already something that some of us are beginning to create. And we're making the choice not to take part in feeding the darkness, not to take part in feeding the shadow, not taking part in feeding the illusion, the pain space of God, which is not actually a part of nature. It came later. So this is a massively important teaching, and I hope it's clear. I did touch on a couple other releases in here that I can go back and do videos on, but I think that's most of what I wanted to touch on today. So when we're healing our wounds, when we're healing our debris, when we're healing our are multi-generational wounds. So I think I talked about that in the past as well, that when you're born, your parents' wounds and their parents' wounds and their parents' wounds for at least 7 generations, in some cases further, 10, 12, 20, are passed down in us, because we're the ones that are here today living, and we're the only ones that can heal them. And so if they didn't heal them, we're left to heal them. So that shadow passes down with each generation in the hopes that it's going to be healed. It gets left behind when people die, and it gets left behind in the bodies that are left. So the DNA and RNA in our bones, because our bones were created in our mothers. And so that woundedness is still in our bones. And so we're the one here to heal it. And that's what a whole bunch of us are here to do in this era, in this time period, is we are the breakers of chains. And we're the breaker of chains of reaction. So we're breaking the chains of reaction. We're slowing down. We're loving ourselves into wholeness. We're giving ourselves safety. And we're breaking the chains of reaction. We're learning to mother our own selves first. And that's how we clear the wound spaces. And I talked about that in another video. It's like you have a dark room in a house, and you go into the room and you're like, what's in this room? If you're terrified, you're not going to go near the door. You're like, I can't go. No, I can't go there. But then you finally go to the door and you turn the light on, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. This is just another room in the house. Yeah, it is just another room in the house. All of our pain spaces are just other rooms in our house when we shine a light on it. There's nothing we can't face and clear. All pain spaces are asking for our love. And when we give it love, then it disappears. So why did Godsource have the original wound? Because it didn't love itself in that space. It didn't know how to yet. And so what's lacking in all pain spaces is love. And so when we learn to love ourselves as we look at the pain space, and then we send love into the pain space, then we bring that light into the room, and we clear the room. We clear the pain space. And we clear it not only for us, we clear it for the ancestral lineage, we clear it from our bones, and we clear it from the universe. So we are the ones that we're always going to save us. We are the ones that we're always going to heal us, because only you can see the internal debris and the internal wounds. So I'm just going to clear all that. I know it's hard to hear some of these things, but they're important for us. And the more we know the truth, the less fear we have. If you have fear of those spaces, I will say a couple things about the demons. So, number one, we don't want to fear those spaces. We see them for the truth of what they are. They're illusions. They're pain spaces, right? Number two, we aren't here to feed them. So some people are like, when I told them about this release, they were like, oh, those poor demons are going to die though. That's how they get us, with compassion, and you're a sucker, because you're literally going to be suckered off of. They're going to drain your life force. You're going to go, oh, poor them. I'm just going to let them suck off me, right? No, hell no, girl, guy, whomever you are. Hex no. No. You're not helping them, and you're not helping yourself. You're sacrificing yourself. You're going to pay the price for that. Your body's going to pay a price for that. Your life force is going to pay a price for that. And no, it's not a natural part of this existence and this reality. It's a pain space that needs to be cleared. And the way we clear it is we let it die off. We let it disintegrate. And when it dies off and it disintegrates, it might implode on itself and become its own light being. And that's cool for it. But it's your job not to do that. As a human being, it's your job not to do that. And that's a program. We've been programmed to believe to do that by them. No, thank you. Now, the other thing is, I don't fuck with the demons. No. If I ever sense something that's Evie, there's Evie's saying she don't fuck with the demons either. Hex no, the animal species don't like it either. If we see one or we have an experience of one, even in a dream state, the key is to look away and call in the God source. And how do you do that? You just literally call in the God source. You say, God, embrace it in God's love, and I release it in God's love. And that's a code, and it works. I embrace it in God's love, and I release it in God's love. It's none of my business. I don't care. I call in the angels, the ancestors, and the elementals. I call in those beings that know exactly how to tend to this space. But I have no clue as a human being. It's not my job. My job is to say no. Hex no. Not me. Look away and face towards the light. Face towards God. Face towards the God source, the angels, the ancestors, and the elementals. Face them. And they will feed you light, and they will take care of that. I embrace it in God's love, and I release it in God's love. I'm not doing that. Hex no. Okay? The other thing is earthbound spirits. So earthbound spirits is also called ghosts. And ghosts just, they didn't cross into the light. So they didn't cross over. When they died, they either tragically died, traumatically died. They were too sad or scared to leave their loved ones. And when they stay in that middle place too long, they begin to forget who they are. They forget why they're here and who they are. That's why a lot of ghosts are repeating. There's like the stories of the ghost train, and it's just goes ghost train over and over and over. Or people go to homes, and it's like a ghost comes out of a room and walks down the hallway, and they see her do the same thing every night. It's because she forgot who she is. And it's actually very tragic and traumatic and sad and heartbreaking to just get entertainment off these ghosts. The key is the same thing. I embrace you in God's love, and I release you in God's love. And you let God do whatever God wants to do with it. That's not our business as human beings. That's the etheric realm's business. And that's not our business. The angels, ancestors, and elementals, I call them in. I ask that you embrace her in love and release her in love, and let her know that when she crosses and she sees her loved ones, she can still come back here and visit people here, or do whatever she wants to do on this side. But at least she'll have crossed over to the other realm. So that's something that if you feel safe and free enough to do, all you have to do is say those words, right? I embrace you in God's love, and I release you in God's love. Or the angels, ancestors, and elementals embrace her in love and release her in love. Or this being, if you can just sense a being and you're in a forest or something like that, heck no, I embrace you in God's love, I release you in God's love. This isn't my business, and I'm not tending to it. I'm a human, and I'm here to human. And that's not part of us humaning, right? But we are free will beings. And that spirit needs a free will to cross it over, right? The demons know. They have their own free will. They do their own thing, but they don't go by the rules of God, right? So they'll try to trick you, and they'll lie to you and things like that. They don't go by the rules of God. So don't give them attention. Don't look at them, right? Just no, right? Okay, I hope this helps. And we're going to clear the power program in regards to the darkness, in regards to the pain spaces of God, in regards to the demon realm. We don't have to fear it. We need to be in our bodies. We need to be fully and completely in conscious awareness, even there, so that we can be wise, so that we can access our center point of reference, so that we can access our truth, and then we can act from our truth or from our creativity. The God source will tell you what to do in that moment if you stay connected to the God source. But if you go into panic, fear, terror, and you freak the fuck out and you run away, that's fight, flee, freeze, and fawn. That's separation consciousness, right? From there, you're in more danger than you are if you stay connected to your soul and you're just like, heck no. No. No is the most powerful word here. It's the divine mother. The divine mother has the power of no. No. It's extremely important, right? That's how we collapse these programs. And Source Mother, I acknowledge and accept everything that we've been speaking of so far today. And I choose not to celebrate the demon kingdom as we move forward. And I recognize that it is actually not a natural part of this existence in this reality. It wasn't part of the first creation, but all of the animals, plants, animals, they all were. They are a natural part of this kingdom, right? And they're part of your family. But the demons are an illusion. They're the Godsource's first pain space. And all they need is to be cleared. They need to be alchemized. And the Godsource itself will alchemize them with your free will. Don't engage them, right? Just face the Godsource and call in the angels, ancestors, and elementals and clear them. Or the Godsource itself and clear it. And our job is not to clear them in the external realm. That's God's job. Or the angels and the ancestors and the elementals' job. My job is to clear the darkness out of me. The shadow spaces out of me. The pain spaces out of me. And I'm here to break the chains of reaction. And that's what our job is inside this human being. And that's pretty simple, but not simple at all, because you have to be extremely conscious and you have to be able to slow down and you have to be able to love yourself into wholeness. But once you have those down, then it does get easier and easier with time. So, Source God Mother, I clear, cleanse, and heal those mindsets and those modes of functioning, and particularly those demon teachings of the slavery matrix. I can see what they were trying to do. Yeah, so that was the contract the humans made when they got that information from the demons, how to force production, right? And to sacrifice our bodies. We agreed to sacrifice our bodies. And as we sacrificed our bodies in unconsciousness, it fed off of our life force. And that's disgusting. No, thank you. That's not our job. We got tricked, right? We got tricked and we agreed to it. And the Godsource lets us because it loves us and we have free will. And it's an experience that we have, but we're coming to the end of that experience. And we need to clear that from our mind, body, spirits, and souls and forgive humanity, the human race, the human species for getting, sucked into that belief system and that mode of functioning. And that our job is to not feed the darkness. Our job is to not feed the pain space of God or the pain space of ourselves. And how we do that is we collapse programs around codependency and programs around control and force and violence. So obviously look at our world. It's a violent, we're acting in violence and hoarding. And that's all part of the slavery matrix. Part of the sacred feminine or the sacred mother is sharing and freedom and loving yourself into wholeness and tending to your own wound spaces first, mothering your own self first. And God, please help us to remember that. And please clear these programs, modes of functioning, ways of existing, belief systems, contracts, binds, barriers, cords, cording, anchors, wound spaces in the human, in our ancestral lineages, in our muscle tissue, bones, hearts, brains, lungs, in our skin, in our spine, in our guts, the blood, the hormonal systems, the nervous systems, wherever we held this, we clear it. We neutralize, harmonize, and alchemize it back to dust. We clear it, and clear it some more. And we choose to continue to be brave and be wise and to slow down, access the feminine so that we can slow down and so that we can love ourselves into wholeness, so that we can give compassion to our wound spaces as they arise. Because the human plane of existence the earth plane is a hard existence. There's natural pain and suffering on the earth plane, like falling down a cliff and cutting open your foot, or earthquakes, or the millions of other things that can happen here without the added darkness of the slavery matrix, like wars and violence and rape and child abuse and all of those things that come from separation consciousness. And we choose not to play out these programs anymore. We clear, cleanse, neutralize, harmonize, and alchemize them back to dust, including the power dynamic, where number one, that's a tricksy program. I oftentimes call those tricksy bitches, where they taught us to feed the demons or feed the darkness or sacrifice our bodies or sacrifice our light to the darkness, thinking, oh, poor them. No, not poor them, poor you. You're being parasited. Like, no way. I'm not doing that. I'm done that now. And I clear that from my mind, body, spirit, and soul, including these fear programs, these panic, fear, terror programs, so that I can find safety even there, so that I can find my own comfort even there, so that I can stay regulated even there, so that I can love myself into wholeness even there, and help me to remember those codes. I embrace it in God's love and I release it in God's love. I call in the angels, ancestors, and elementals to clear these spaces. And I clear, cleanse, neutralize, harmonize, and alchemize all of that now, past the DNA and RNA and into the God space of first creation, collapsing the old back to dust, including the old DNA and RNA, and initiating the new and reconfiguring for each unique blueprint. Clearing, cleansing, and healing all drama, karma, trauma, pulling out the dharma, neutralizing, purifying, clearing, cleansing, and healing from the cellular, energetic, and magnetic structures, and from the subconscious, unconscious, and conscious minds, pulling all of that through to oneness, to wholeness, to peace, to truth, to love. Welcoming those helper frequencies and those helper beings into these spaces to continue to help us to clear, cleanse, and heal these spaces, and to access these spaces and utilize these spaces as we move forward in those good ways. Help us to take back our power. Remember last one, help us to take back our light. If we've given our light away in these ways, it's got our name on it. That's your light. Call it back into you right now. I call all that light back into myself. I allow my my auric filter to clear, cleanse, and heal it as it returns into me fully and completely cleared, cleansed, and healed, so that I can reintegrate it into my mind, body, spirit, and soul. I release through the children and up through the ancestral webs, past lifetimes and their webs, and for the collective universal who are open to it at this time, including all planetary systems and on all sides of the veil. I quantum forgive. Oh, in this universe and in the multiverses. I quantum forgive that the humans did this, that we bought into this, that we've been living this way for so long, that we normalized the demons in the demon realm, and that we celebrated them, and that we thought that they were a natural part of this existence when they are not. They are an illusionary pain space. And I'm not going to play those games anymore. That's a game and I'm not playing. And I purify back to the Godsource origins, welcoming those collective healed helpers, those beings of light, those doctors, healers, and nurses in all realms of existence, to continue to purify and alchemize these spaces and drop us into those original blueprints, those original codes, and to continue these healings until completed. And Source God Mother, I give so much gratitude and so much thankfulness to those helper beings, to those beings of light that are here with us, helping us, guiding us, loving us, nudging us. Those angels, ancestors, and elementals that are here with us, helping us, loving us, that are holding loving space for us as we go through these clearings and healings, and as we heal ourselves, and as we slow down into the human being, and we collapse the programs of the human, so that we can begin to collapse this way of functioning on the earth plane of existing. Up until now, the Mother Earth has been allowing us to function in this way, but in the last couple of years, she started to wake up and she started to say, hell no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done, because we were causing so much damage to her that she's not being a toxic mother anymore, where she lets us just get away with it. She's starting to take back her power as we all start to take back our power. And as we collapse these programs from humans and humanity, we also begin to collapse them from the plants, animals, air, earth, water, that we're sort of in alignment with our old mode of functioning, because everything happens in dynamics. The more toxic dynamics we created within, the more we created them without. So the plants got into an alignment with our toxic dynamics, the mineral kingdom, the animals, they were all in alignment, the earth herself, with our opposing dynamic of the slavery matrix. And all of us are waking up, and all of us are clearing this from our mind, body, spirits, and souls. So God, please help us to continue to clear this. Please be with us, help us, nudge us, help us to remember that we have free will. And as a free will being, you're massively powerful, and you have a connection to the God source. And as a connected being, you're magical as heck. And that's where you can say, you face God, get God to do it. That's what you can do with your free will. And you don't have to fear anything. You need to access your power, your ability to move forward freely, your ability to have your own choice. So may we have wonderful, marvelous choices. And we clear, cleanse, and heal all of that now through all quantum fields. And we're opening to receive for best and highest well-being. With the most ultimate of love and gratitude, I choose this. So I choose this and breathe. So Source God Mother, I acknowledge and accept that we're just going to do an energetic clearing. I want to clear, and as you do this for me, do it for all beings within my heart space, as far out as my frequencies of my heart can access. And I invite all of those beings of light to also immediately evolute their systems for best and highest well-being of the systems within us and the systems around us, including those frequencies of our feet, immediately upgrading those frequencies of our feet, so that as we ground down into our feet, to the insides of our feet, we have all the frequencies we need to calm, soothe, be present, all the healing codes that we need to access our center points of reference, our center of selves, our truth. And please also root us from our red chakras, from our roots down to our earth stars, our universal stars, and into this, the natural kingdom, into the form realm. And as you root us into this universe and the multiverses, please help us to share the feminine way. Please help us to share life force frequencies, healing codes, knowledge, wisdom, and essences. We clear, cleanse, and heal all of that now through all quantum fields, and we're opening to receive for best and highest well-being. With the most ultimate of love and gratitude, I choose this. So again, I choose this and breathe. Of course, these are all tangled up. I untangle them, but they like to tangle and rattle. So just take a good etheric breath. And if you need extra love, please trigger my vagus nerve now. Source Godmother, please trigger my vagus nerve now. Woo, yeah. And if you're feeling lightheaded, please ground me to the inside of my feet. Please ground my soul to the insides of my feet. Please help my body to get all the frequencies they need. Please help to soothe my heart, my love, my internal love, my access to the God source. My soul's love is infinite. It's an infinite resource. I can't use it up. I have infinite amounts in this lifetime. So slow down and heal. Slow down and heal. Slow down and heal. Face yourself, right? Find your wounds. Don't find them. Let them arise. They arise in their own timing, right? Everything has natural timing. And if they come up, face them. Don't be afraid of them. We think they're like a monster, and you're like, oh, fuck, run, hide it, tuck it away into your spider back, into your body somewhere, and then pay the price. No, don't do that. Slow down and face it. What is it showing you? It's a package of information. That's what it is. Emotion, energy in motion, a package of information. What is the package of information telling you? And all you have to do is hold loving space for yourself there. And if you can remember how to do a release, and it'll clear it immediately. It's like a shovel system. It'll get down and clear it out. And I release, I do an intense release because I've been doing this for so long that I like to clean house. I like to clear and clear some more. But all you have to do is acknowledge and validate the thing, ask the God source to clear it, and open to receiving. In my book, I use the acronym CART. So I connect, I accept, I release, I receive, and I give thankfulness. And that's how you do a release. So if you have a pain space, just give it to God, right? Because God will alchemize it for you. God wants the pain spaces back. We're doing God's part by giving God the pain spaces. Remember, the pain spaces of God, the pain spaces of the human. Our job is to love it into wholeness, to alchemize it, to turn the light on in the room. And that's it. So, I hope you all got some good messages here. I hope that it helps you to feel safer and not less safe. I hope you remember that you're a powerful being with free will, and that you have infinite access to light, and that when you're in your free will, you can turn toward God and receive the light and ask the God source to clear, cleanse, and heal your space, your house, the forest, a hotel room. I embrace it in God's love. I release it in God's love. And remember, your light is your best protection. So you just open up the heart and allow the God source to come out into the area around you, to become the essence around you. And as you do that, it will clear everything in your space. So everything that can't stay in that light disintegrates. So it's a protection mechanism. And you always have that with you. So may you all heal well. May you all find joy. May you all find the peace that you're looking for. And may we all create the peace for this planet and for the human species and for the plants, animals, air, earth, water. May we all find joy and happiness in alignment. And if you have any questions, if there's something else you would like me to talk about, if this created some level of curiosity, please put comments below. I do read the comments. Please share with anybody that you think needs this information, knowledge, and wisdom. And yeah, much love to you. Until next time, take care.